Hello and welcome to Honey the Photographer's Here, episode 3. This is a conversation between myself, Claire, and Renee from Better Studio. And this conversation was all about social media. Now, you can't really think about marketing without thinking about social media these days. It's almost imperative that agencies and agents themselves especially, along with most vendors, actually have themselves a really good-looking account. Really interesting nuggets in this, and if you listen carefully, you may find the perfect few words that allow you to up your skills and change your game when it comes to your social media presence. Without further ado, this is episode 3.
Okay, let's go.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Funnily enough, I haven't had a whole lot of involvement in, I suppose, bringing you to the podcast for this particular episode. So I think Claire has sort of talked to you more, been far more in touch with you. Do you want to give me a rundown of like sort of who you are and what you do?
Yes. Well, my name is Renee Bink. I'm the owner of Better Studio. So we just rebranded, FYI.
What was the brand before?
It was Better Socials before.
Okay.
So my background, as I mentioned before, was real estate. So I was in real estate industry for 10 years, working with real estate agencies, but also in the property tech space. And in the background, I was doing social media as like a side hustle for fun. So I started doing it back in the day, like 2015 era, when Instagram was sort of just getting big.
Wow, early user.
Yeah. So this was like, it all started because my cousins had they were launching a bakery business where they made cakes and cupcakes and cookies and everything for like celebrations and events. And so they knew they had to do socials, but they didn't really want to do it. And they're like, oh, do you want to do it for us? And we'll give you like free cake. And I was like, perfect.
Amazing, free cake.
Like, I'm down for that.
I feel like that's where it always starts. Like whatever you do, you're trading for free cake. Always.
Yeah.
Always. I was like, I love cake. So I was like their taste tester, but also created their social media. And yeah, that was back in the day before there was like, any wild algorithms, and you didn't really have to pay for like any marketing. Yeah, legit. So you could just post and you could get like really huge reach just from like hashtags back then.
Yeah, I think hashtags used to be this whole like inroad. You could really, if you could hack the hashtag system, it was just like
and it was
gold.
A time order too. So like you could target people at the right time of day, lunchtime for food, and you'd get the following.
100%.
So if you were doing food stuff, you would like send it out at lunchtime.
Well, you'd probably think
we did it like later sometimes, but sometimes we did it at lunchtime because this was like, ordered food. It wasn't like, a cafe or something like that. But yeah, 100%. Like if you put a post up at 7:15, like hundreds of people would see it, or thousands of people would see it because everyone's on then.
That's so funny.
So yeah, started doing that then. I did that for a few years. Did you take
that, like, was that kind of, you were like, okay, I'm doing this is my thing, or you just kind of like mucking around a little?
I was just mucking around like for fun. Like I was always sort of the person with my friends that was always like taking videos and taking photos.
The social person?
Yes.
Yeah, there's always one.
Yes, and like use social media. Like I was on Snapchat a lot, back then. And so my cousin's like, oh, you should do this for us. And I was like, oh yeah, fun, sweet. Like just did it for fun to help them out because I was always hanging around them anyway. And yeah, it just like exploded. Like they built their whole business off social media. Like they didn't do any other form of marketing. And we built it up to like 20,000 followers.
20,000
and they were booked
in Canberra.
out. Yeah. Also like, there was people that followed them outside of Canberra, but
their customer base is Canberra.
Yeah, the customer base was Canberra. Yeah. And they were booked out for like weeks in advance, sometimes months, just from socials.
Yep.
And I guess through that experience, like over, I think it was maybe like 2 or 3 years that we did that. I realised...
You may be hearing a baby in the background, which is why everyone's kind of slowly just started like dropping the conversation off.
Sorry. It's just picked up.
Claire's brought Lottie in.
I apologise.
Her ears prick up.
Okay, yeah. You got in here? At least we've got visuals.
She's fine.
She'll be fine.
We can see her.
Pat's looking after her.
Yeah.
That was the most confident yes I think I've ever heard in my life.
It's like a feeling dad. It's good.
Oh, close the door. We're good now.
Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, so we did that for a few years, and that's when I really saw like the power of social media and how you could grow your business through socials.
Well, that's an immediate example, isn't it? That's talk about a test drive.
That's like a real case study. Like from ground to like
from zero.
That's amazing.
And I think a lot of people who get into like the creative spaces, for example, will kind of go into it and go, okay, I want to make this happen, and they won't see results right away.
Yeah.
And like I guess in some ways like you've gotten not lucky, but you've got in a position where like you've seen results immediately, which has allowed you to go like, cool, I have the confidence, let's start running.
Yeah.
Which is
and
really
also
nice.
like because I was just doing it for fun, there was no like pressure in that sense.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, you know, they were paying me and they were a client that I had to perform for. It was just like I was actually helping them out by doing that for them. And it also helped me realize like the power of branding and, you know, the type of content, you know, because their product looked really good. That's why it performed so well as well. So all of those things I learned along the way.
Do you mean like, sorry, the actual product itself, regardless of images? Like when you went and had it?
Yeah, well, the product was amazing. Like my cousins are full like perfectionists. So like they were doing like all this really cool stuff that no one else in Canberra was doing in that industry.
Yeah, cool.
It helps when the product is good, right?
Yes,
Like,
definitely.
You can only polish things enough.
Correct. But then like learnt the power of like taking good photos in good light and like filtering and like color grading and all of the above and making it really pop, which no one was really doing as much back then, like in the local business sort of scene.
2015,
no one
I feel
was
like
really
at the
doing
time,
that.
social media was really social. You know,
Yes.
It's more selfies and like mirror, like.
it was more just like friends.
The mirror,
and
the mirrors. Yeah.
It wasn't as much marketing.
No,
Yes,
not
correct.
the marketing beast that it is today.
Yeah.
Which I think is how like we did so well as well, because it wasn't like a marketing feel. It was just like, hey, here's our cool products, and people were like, oh my god, that looks so good, I need that.
It didn't seem pitchy.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things like we just built up like this community and this following, and it got to the point where they were having to do like releases for their stuff.
Oh my
because
gosh.
there was like, and people would go in
Wow.
and it would sell out in like hours. Like
It's like shit that Nike does.
legit, like it was insane.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's how I got started. And you know, people started figuring out that I was doing their socials, and my cousin would be like, oh yeah, you know, my cousin does our socials. And then other business owners were like, oh, like we need this. And I was like, oh, this is a thing
There's
like
a
I could do
market
for other
here,
people.
yeah.
Like this is a thing.
Did you start charging your cousin?
Oh, they got a very small amount charged to them. They would make me a lot of food. So I actually lived with one of them at the time. So
Oh,
like it was
cool.
like a...
Quid pro quo, right? You got good value out of it.
Yeah, I did, definitely.
Are they still a client of yours today?
No, so they're not in, they've both gone to do different things now, but they were until they stopped their business. Yeah, so it was a long journey. It was good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that was a springboard, essentially.
Yeah,
for you.
definitely. And then I was like, okay, cool, I can offer this to other people. And this is around like the first sort of lockdown, like just before that.
Oh, right.
So like 2019.
Yeah,
maybe?
2019.
Before
It was
things
just
kinda
before
kicked
that.
off.
Yeah.
Right.
So I like created my business, just a little side hustle for like a bit of fun, a bit of extra money.
Yeah.
And you were working sort of on weekends after work?
Yeah, after work on weekends, yeah. And so my first few clients were like, real estate agents who I knew from the industry, and also some food places, because like I'm a big foodie, I love food, and so just happened.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes loads of sense.
When you're going to the same cafe like consistently, it comes up naturally. Hey?
100%, yeah, exactly. So
I feel like being a
yeah.
good customer is like a good in. If they
Definitely.
like know who you are.
So just being nice in general, like.
Well, no. I don't mean just go in
Oh,
and
you
be
mean
nice
it
once. I mean like
consistent.
go in so they know your order.
Got
You
you.
know, like
Yeah,
it's like
yes.
oh, large
Yeah.
coffee with yes.
Yes, that
Oh,
guy.
How
yeah.
are you?
Yeah.
And then you can be like, what do you do for work? You know, then you
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
Legit.
naturally.
And then they hear, oh, you do socials. Oh, we need help with that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so
far
that
more
was
organic
me.
than like going in with a piece of paper and saying, hello,
Yeah.
please help. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it.
So
Yeah.
real estate agents were like, yes.
I did that initially because at this stage I was working in property tech, so I wasn't actually working for an agency. I was in
Right.
the tech space for property. So real estate
What's
agents.
the tech space for property?
Or like tech platforms that support, real estate agents,
gotcha.
things like that. So
Yeah.
I was working for one of those companies.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I did that on the side, and so I did that for a little while, and then COVID happened, lockdown happened, and then it really like boomed. Like people, I think, took socials really seriously when that happened.
It was our main way of marketing, wasn't it?
Or just
Yeah.
reaching people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like footfall was
and everyone
gone.
was on their phones at home.
Correct.
Like we were spending far more hours
Yes.
on it.
The online deliveries.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, of course.
the online shopping was a big thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
like
massive.
just like
Yeah.
updates.
Yes.
Daily updates of people going,
Yes.
oh, we are open, oh, we are
Yes.
closed. I think that's like one of the biggest things that I get from social media is like, if I want to know something now, I'll go on the socials and see,
Correct.
have you posted a story today? Then it says
Yeah.
that we're open.
Yeah.
And that was like a big thing in COVID times.
Yeah, 100%. And I really found that businesses started to appreciate the benefit of socials and started to maybe take it a bit more seriously within the business, because I think before that it was sort of something that was nice to have, but you didn't really have to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when COVID happened, it was like, this is the way that we're going to speak to people because they're not coming into our shop anymore, or
Yeah.
we're not seeing them face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or we can't afford like lots and lots of money in marketing.
Correct. Yes, because it is a cheaper entry point. But you can still reach like a good number of people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just sort of boomed a little bit. Then I ended up getting back into real estate for a little bit. Very short stint. And then when I finished that up, it was like I had like a lot of people asking to work with me in the social space, and I had been having to knock them back because I was only doing it part-time. I could only have like a few clients.
Right.
But then when I was like deciding, you know, when real estate didn't work out for me again, I was like, maybe I could do this full-time. So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to give it 3 months and we'll see what happens.
How long ago was that?
Yeah, that was like 2.5 years ago. So
Unreal.
Yeah. Well, I had enough clients, you know, for 3 months. So I was like, okay, we'll see if this works out. If not, like I can just go get another job, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. Having that like just in case thing is good.
Yeah.
But also like, you know, I feel like you can have that. You can have too much of a safety net sometimes.
Yes, agreed.
So like going back to a job that it's from what it sounds like you weren't super excited to go back to.
No. Yeah. I mean, I would have been going to a different job. Yeah.
That's a nice thing to run away from.
Yeah.
Like, I can't fail.
Legit. And yeah, I mean, I was lucky. I had a bit of a safety net, so it gave me the freedom to do things that I might not have been able to do if I was worrying about, you know, like finances and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, did that. And then went from there, rebranded, and we're on.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Do you have any employees, or is it just you?
So I have 2 VAs.
Amazing.
So I think that's the unique thing about me and my business is that when I deal with my clients, they're getting me. I have the VAs working in the background, but I'm client facing. And so that's sort of, I guess, who I want the business to be, in the sense that it's boutique, it's premium. We're not here to scale and be this large thing. We want to work with like businesses that align with us and that align with our values. Like we're a very strong value-based business.
And
so
how do you manage that as well? Because obviously there are some people who will just like clients will come to you and say, help us. And the expectation is like, you will help them or you'll say yes. But actually you have the right to say no to some clients and yes to others. Like how do you manage that?
Yes, well, I think that's the number one point in business, is figuring out who's right for you and who's not right for you. And I think that saves a lot of those headaches, potentially, is by figuring that out initially. So whenever, you know, someone comes to me and wants to work with me, we'll have a chat, we'll have a call and just make sure that we are aligned. So as I said before, like we're a very strong values-based business. We're all about, you know, premium, value over volume. You know, we're not here to be this big thing. We want to do things really well and create really good results, but we don't want to be this big, you know,
you don't want to be servicing
multinational.
Like, hundreds of thousands of people and then like you're some faceless CEO somewhere in the background. It's like, I remember, didn't Renee used to work here? It's like, no, she still does. But I know what you mean. I think especially in Canberra, it really... it's small enough that like people really resonate with small business owners.
Yeah,
you know, I think,
and a personal approach.
Definitely.
Yeah, with like government, DFAT, APS, like there's a lot of other big government and that, and having those little like, oh, this is really human. You know, this is really small and unique in you. I think is like super powerful especially the Canberra market, but I think in general.
Yeah, and that's the feedback I've gotten, and that's what I had learnt in my previous roles in, you know, very high customer service industries, was that people really appreciate the personal touches and they like to speak to one person, and they're okay with, you know, there being a backing of people behind that one person, but they want to know that that's like they're human, and that's who they're going to deal with, and they don't want to be like passed around and things like that. So that's something that I brought into this business.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like Pat, in some respects, but he's brought us on and he's been doing other things as well, and he's really missed that. I think that like customer facing role a bit. You know,
he misses doing it all kind of thing.
Oh, for sure.
You can't do it all the time.
Correct. That's right.
That's how it starts.
Legit.
Like, you're doing it all. You're seeing every client every day. Sometimes we'll see an agent or a client that he used to see all the time, and he'll go, oh, like it's a bit of, I didn't get to see that person.
Oh, how is that person?
How's their dog?
It's
all those things that, I guess at some point there is a point in the business where other people can't come in.
You have to expand,
I think social media is quite good in terms of it is a job where you can plan. So for one person, it is in a way doable because you can kind of make a structure where you go, okay, I know I have to work on this today, and I know what I can get done in that day, and this is what I have to do. Also scheduling, like actual physical posting of social media for clients, there are lots of things involved where you can do it through a computer.
Yeah, remotely
which I
too.
think is which I think is quite helpful for this industry. That you can start as yourself. There doesn't need to be 7 people because you're on a computer all day posting. So it's kind of a good industry to be a personalised, face-to-face client service role. Yeah,
definitely. And that's what I've noticed. Like, for me, in the two and a bit years that I've been doing it, it's like really snowballed a lot, and it sort of got to the point where I was like, I can't do everything, but I still want to have that face to face, or I still want to be the face of the brand, and I still want to be the one going out doing the shoots, because that's where my value is. It's, for me, it was like looking at where do I add the most value, and then how do I continue doing that while having a team behind me to support me. And that's not to say that in the future, like, my plans definitely are to bring on additional people that go out and shoot, but right now I can still do all of that. And so that's where I know I make the biggest difference.
It's about deciding where you're most valuable, you know. Like, your most valuable moment isn't in accounting.
No,
it's not
admin.
It's not the back of house admin. You know, it's
file
like,
management.
Exactly. Like, it's you. You know, it's you being out there and you kind of like doing all that sort of customer facing stuff, and that's what people really pay for at the end of the day, because they want they want to know that, you know, you're across what they want. Especially if you're the prime aspect of your branding as well. People really appreciate that you're there.
Correct.
Which is really nice.
And I think for me, I've built up, like, all of my clients are relationship based, so pretty much everyone that are my clients is through referrals, word of mouth. It's all organic. So
you've not done like heavy sales work to get?
No. I mean, obviously, I run my socials, I do some paid ads, but I don't do any, like, massive marketing.
You don't do, like, cold calling? And
oh, no. No cold calling, nothing like that.
That's a luxury.
I guess the risk is that you get too much inquiry and then...
That's such a first world problem. I feel like
going back to the original, what we were talking about, the original question about, like, figuring out who is for you. I think to do that, you need to know who you are and what your values are in business. So then when you're having that first chat with them, you can actually figure out whether you align. And I always say that to people, you know, leads that come in, I'm having a chat with them. I always say to them, you know, I want to make sure that we align with each other so we can have a successful business relationship. Like, because I don't want to take on work if I can't achieve what you want to achieve, or if, you know, maybe we're just not the right fit, maybe we don't believe in the same things, whatever it may be. It's about figuring that out. And then once we're both happy and on board, it's like, cool, like, let's work together, let's talk about the money, let's move forward.
Nice. And that being the first point of call, I think definitely, like you said, does help things in the back end of, like, like firefighting.
Correct.
Know? And you obviously don't want that, you know, selfishly you don't want to deal with it, but also in terms of, like, your customer base, you don't want to have to put your name out there in a negative way. You know,
definitely.
So finding the people that we work well with and who will just give you 5 stars in some respects to be like, this person is dope, work with her.
I mean, one thing that really sticks with me is that we can't be everything for everyone. So it's about finding your people and who, you know, see the good that you do, and, you know, for me, working with businesses that I think are really good as well. So
we're talking about obviously your background, and then moving into sort of the more business side of things and how you approach clients and your relationship with them. And again, like, that's really important. We found that, and also not everyone has that luxury, you know.
Correct.
So I guess...
And let's just say, initially, I didn't have that either. Initially, I was just taking on whoever, because it's like, oh, I want to get business, like, I want to build this. And so I learnt that very quickly. There was a few, you know, business decisions that I made that then ended up, you know, burning me in the long run. And so then I learnt very quickly, okay, no, I need to go back to sort of what I was doing when I worked in the real estate industry, and figuring out what the good business is and bad business is, and not trying to be everything to everyone. Because
I imagine, like, as an agent, you know, you do choose your clients as well. Like, I've one of the agents I was talking to, they sort of said, we were going to do this house, but they weren't prepared to spend enough money on marketing, so we had to say no.
Correct.
And I was like, that's confident.
And that's powerful, because when you figure that out and when you actually say no to bad business, that's when all the good business comes in. Because from a scarcity perspective, you think, oh, if I say no, I'm not going to have anyone, right? But it's like, no, like, the universe rewards you. And when you realize, like, who you want to work with, and you are speaking directly to them, and you're, you know, aligning yourself with them, then it comes to you.
I think like building business friendships almost.
Definitely.
Cool. Definitely, like, it's like social media management in some ways is also very social.
Definitely it is. like a networking sort of connection perspective.
Yeah.
It's also, I mean, it is social, but it's also like I do spend a lot of time, you know, in the studio by myself as well. So it's like two sides. Like you spend a lot of time with people, and then you spend like the other side where you're creating everything to talk to people.
Yeah, so, I guess, like building, like charging yourself up for when you go out.
Yeah, literally recharging that battery. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that your social battery is like full a lot, or are you good around people?
Well, yeah. See, this is something I, again, have learned actually a lot in the last 2 years, was learning to not just be go, go, go all the time. I think, you know, in my previous lives, in my career, I was very go, go, go and would burn myself out all the time.
I think as an agent, like I think the industry standard is go, 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 isn't it?
Legit. And so I had to learn as a business owner, if I go, go, go and then burn out, there's no one else to do it. There's no backup. So again, that's something I learnt quite quickly, was that I need to make sure I take enough time to rest, recover and recharge. And I actually speak about that a lot in my content and throughout like my business, that we're big believers in that. And that's like one of our values, is like work hard, rest harder. So then I think like to be creative, you have to have rest and you need to have space to just breathe and
be
allow
inspired as well.
Yeah, be inspired, like get out in nature and everything.
Yeah. It's one thing that like I've tried to do more recently is like pick up the camera for no other reason than for myself.
Yes.
Because you can easily look at your camera as a hammer.
Yeah.
And you can see everything as a nail.
Yeah.
And ultimately it's not that. It's like a tool for creativity and expression.
Yeah.
And the more you tell yourself that, or like embed that self in your mind, then you get to enjoy that in your work, as opposed to looking at it as work only.
Correct, yeah. It's like getting back to all the reasons why you started.
Exactly.
Which is like, because you enjoy it.
Yeah, and also like sort of re-inspiring yourself. Like I know a lot of photographers who end up in a patch where they go, oh, you know, I'm like, this feels like work, you know, this isn't why I signed up. And obviously you have to have a bit of realistic expectation about, you know, you are going to have to work hard at doing this. Like you can't just pretend it's a hobby and get paid for it necessarily.
Yes, correct. But it's a balance, right?
But exactly, it's a balance. Like you can't hurt yourself or like make things more difficult for you with something that you care about.
Yeah.
I think that finding a way to make it work for you is better than against you.
Yeah, definitely. And so for me, it's, you know, I work 4 days a week. I don't normally work Fridays. So that's a day that my partner and I, that's like our life admin day.
And your podcast day.
And podcast day, yeah. And then sometimes I work on Saturdays just because I work with real estate agents. So if I'm filming an auction or, you know, doing some work with them, I might do that. But majority of my work gets done Monday to Thursday. And so for me, that works best. And I found that allows me enough time to like recharge and, you know, chill out and do all those things that makes me happy. So then I can come back and hit the ground running.
Yeah. And your work, imagine, it's like that 4-day working week trial that they've been doing. You know, people's output is higher in 4 days than it is over 5 days, because people just can't output over such a big amount of time.
Definitely. And I think that, again, comes back to my values and the business values of being like value over volume. Like we're not here to smash everything out and do as much as we can. It's like, let's create really great things and get really great results, and figuring out how we balance that and how we manage that. And I think I've got that working pretty good at the moment. So, and that's where the VAs come in, so they can, you know, back me up.
And the interesting thing is, in social media, I think a lot of people talk about volume. You know, like the most talked about thing is volume.
Correct.
Get a reel out there every 2 days. You know, like
post 100 posts a week.
Yeah, and it's so funny hearing someone who does this full time to say quality over quantity.
Oh yeah, that's my number one thing.
Yeah. So and you've obviously, I imagine you've noticed a difference in that. You know, you know, the data you're getting back from, you know, engagement demonstrates that that's better.
Yeah, I think it often depends on what you're trying to achieve. Okay. So I'm always...
So break all that down.
Yeah, definitely. We'll jump into it. So I'm always value over volume. So let's not just focus on volume, because often, you know, people will see on social media, oh my God, I have to post every day. And it's like, okay, cool, but what are your objectives? Why would you be posting every single day? Is posting every single day sustainable for you? Do you have enough valuable content to share every single day? And often the answers are no.
No, yeah.
Which is, of course, they're
which
no.
Is fine,
yeah, which is great. That's actually a good thing. So it's like, okay, cool. What can we make sustainable that's also still going to achieve your goals? So for me, I think the most important thing is focusing on like what content you're sharing and why you're sharing it. So understanding why you're sharing it, not just sharing it for the sake of sharing it.
Yep.
What's valuable, because content, I think, should always be valuable in some form. It doesn't mean it has to be this big educational piece, but value comes in different formats.
Yeah.
And then figuring out, okay, cool, so what's our objectives? If we're a brand new account that wants to grow, maybe we do need to post 4 or 5 times a week because we need to get enough content out there to get reach and to grow. But if we're a page that has been around for a few years, we've been posting pretty consistently, maybe we only need to post like 4, 3, 2 times, depending on what your social media objectives are. Because you might not want to grow necessarily, you might just be happy with creating a really good feed. So when people hear your brand, they come and it looks really nice. Or you might be happy with the amount of business you have. You actually don't have capacity to take on more business and you just want to like be on social media and have it looking good. So it really depends, I think, on what the brand's objectives are. But I am very much against the whole you have to post every single day to achieve your goals, because that isn't true anymore. And as Claire mentioned before, the algorithm has changed. So if you're posting every single day, the whole reason why people were doing that was so that people would see your content every single day. But as we know, the algorithm works with what it thinks it wants you to see. So, it will show you posts from 2 or 3 days ago as your first post on the feed because it thinks, oh my God, you really want to see that post. So it doesn't really matter about posting every single day anymore in some instances.
And it's funny you mentioned the algorithm as well, because that thing I feel like is the most used buzzword across all of social medias. Yeah. It's always about the
Break
algorithm.
the algorithm.
Oh, it's always like hack the algorithm.
Yeah,
or like,
hack the algorithm.
algorithm's keeping me down, or like, it's all like it's the biggest word use. Do you find that you like spend a lot of tactical time on that, or do you find that your approach, it sounds like from what you're saying, is your approach is not about thinking of the algorithm and how to manipulate it, but just about what makes sense to the consumer or the person consuming the content
or the business
business itself?
Definitely the latter. I think people on social media can get really caught up in how to hack the algorithm or understand the algorithm or manipulate the algorithm. And I don't know, do you follow Adam Mosseri? He's like the CEO of Instagram.
Oh, I think I do. I don't see his posts much though.
Yeah, you should check him out. I'm actually in his creators channel. He has a channel. No, he's married. That's not my thing. I mean, for tips, maybe give me some socials.
Help, yeah.
But no, he has a channel where you can subscribe to it and you get the messages and stuff from him, and it's for creators. So I mean, look at that. Clever. Anyone who's interested, because you get insight into, and he shares what Instagram's working on, what they're creating, feedback on. How the algorithm works per se.
Yeah, that's smart. I think I did see one of his videos, and it was talking about we've had a lot of feedback about this. We're actually going to reinstate this thing.
Yes.
Or I think photos recently have been given a little bit more priority.
Correct. Yeah, because Reels were a lot bigger in reach, and now they've sort of evened out with the carousels and the imagery.
Yeah.
But I guess the point was, he has actually shared that there's no hacking the algorithm. The algorithm isn't working against you. It's just a thing. It's just AI that Instagram has created to show people the content that they think that they want to see.
They would like, yeah.
Yeah, they would that's all that it is.
Yeah.
So for me, it's okay, when I'm working with a business, I'm not necessarily thinking about that per se. I mean, it does come into consideration, like I said before, about the whole you don't have to post every single day because the algorithm has changed now, and just sort of understanding that aspect of it. But it's more about who's your target audience as a business? Yeah. What do they want to see? What do they want to engage with? How do you want to sound? How do you want to feel on social media? And let's create that. And let's create that in a way that can meet your objectives and your goals. So I don't like to focus on the algorithm too much because I think it's one of those things you can't control. So let's just represent your brand well and, hit those objectives. And I think that's ultimately the goal, right?
Yeah, and I think they all sort of say content is king. That
exactly.
Substance is more important than the packaging.
Yep, 100%. Yes, I love that. Content is king, definitely.
Yeah. And actually, on that as well, one of the questions I was desperate to ask you, because obviously we work in photo and sort of high end video, and we do a lot of work in that space. Our expectation of content is okay, we need to get the cinema cameras out. We need to up production. We need to make it look like we're in a movie set.
Yeah.
But all the stuff, like we spoke before, you said that most of your stuff is shot on iPhone.
It's all shot on iPhone.
You're reaching lots of people and doing all this stuff. So if you could, I guess, break down the differentiation between quality of content, and how that plays a part.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, content is king, and so people, they eat with their eyes, so they want to see something that looks good. But it doesn't mean that it has to be on this, fancy camera. All of my reels that I shoot for my clients are shot on my iPhone 14 Pro Max. So, it's a pretty good camera, but it's not, a professional camera. But
not Netflix, or is it? I think, is it Netflix?
What?
I think it's Netflix qualified. Netflix has a list of cameras
really?
that are qualified for
it.
there
you go.
There is some
Watch
iPhone
out.
14 footage on Netflix.
Really?
But yeah.
So, it's pretty good. But it's different to a camera.
Yeah, there's a guy called Paul Rossley. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's an activist in the Amazon. And he shoots everything on the iPhone, and it's so funny because he takes like big Canon cameras out. But the thing is, like, he's got like a day pack and a boat and a knife because like he's just trying to get out there. So he's saying, dude, iPhones are dope. Like they're so cool. Like they're waterproof.
Yep.
You know, you can keep them in your pocket. I don't need a big cinema camera when I walk around. So he loves them.
Yeah, very intuitive and very accessible.
Yes.
And so that's, I guess, the thing that I always try to share with people is that social media is accessible for anyone. As we spoke before, like, it's a very good entry point to market your business. But you can do it yourself if you want to. Like, if you have the time and the capacity and the skills, it can be done. And so I think I love the usage of iPhone because, everyone has phones, right? Everyone's on social media. They can use it. So it's just about doing it well and in a way that I think reflects your brand well. And on the iPhone thing and, like, when to use an iPhone or when to use maybe something more, it's interesting because, like, a lot of the information that's coming out is that often the stuff that's shot on phones performs better in some instances.
I've heard about that. I think TikTok has like
TikTok actually has that. Instagram, Adam Mosseri hasn't confirmed nor denied it, so it's just, again, the algorithm, right? So it's one of those things. But I think your content can perform really well when it's shot on iPhone. Like, if you go into the Reels section and scroll through, most of those things will be shot on iPhone, and they're performing well. They're getting hundreds of thousands of views, whatever it is, whatever objective you want to achieve. Yep. You can do that by shooting on iPhone. I think, where your skills and the work that you do comes into play is really good for, like, the marketing, the sort of promotional side of things. And I don't think it needs to be done all the time, per se. No. And that's just from my background, shooting all my reels on iPhone. But it definitely has a place. But, you can achieve what you want to achieve just with your iPhone as well.
Yeah, and I think there's something, I think a lot of brands resonate, a lot of people resonate with the fact that, like, oh, this is shot on iPhone, it must be just someone doing a thing. Like, I've seen a lot of ads, and I go, oh, I wonder who's this? And I look down and I go, oh, it's an ad.
Yeah.
Because my expectation is, like, ads are all, shot high quality, and it kind of, it grounds you a little bit, shooting on an iPhone, that sort of iPhone look, you kind of go at it and go, you look at it as if you're seeing it on a neighbor's phone.
Correct, like humanizes it a little
someone's
bit.
It's like airdropped it to you, or it feels far more connectable than some big production. You look at a Kia ad and it just doesn't even, like, doesn't go through anymore because you're like, that's a big ad.
Correct, and that's why I said, I'm of the belief that reels, like just your generic everyday reels, are actually better shot on iPhone because people can connect with them a bit better because they look at it and they see, like you said, they just realize, oh, it's just a normal video. Like, they're not trying to promote to me per se. So
it's like breaking that fourth wall in a way.
Yeah, like, I don't know, that's sort of feedback that I've had. And I find with my clients, we do all of my content creation on iPhone, but I still use videographers for additional stuff, especially the real estate agents, obviously, with their listing videos and things like that. Like, that's not something that I do, like, get the professionals in to do that.
Yeah.
And, we share that on socials too, but I think it has, like, there's a different strategy behind it because you're not creating that video to be shared on socials per se. You're creating it, like, for All Homes or whatever platform you're...
to be viewed somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's sort of, having it on social media is like a teaser for you to go and look at it properly.
Correct, so I think, it's not necessarily crafted to, excel on socials, and that's potentially why it doesn't perform as well as the other reels. But I also follow a lot of people that do all their reels on professional cameras, and they get really good results too. So
all my social media is covered in, like, I don't think I've seen a single iPhone video in like 6 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think that shows, like, the type of people that we follow, right?
That's just who I follow.
Exactly. Like, I follow a lot of creatives, videographers, photographers, and that's right. They do it all on their camera because that's what they're used to using. But then you follow a lot of, like, other creators, like your social media creators or your social media agencies, like those sort of people, they do it all on iPhone. So it's sort of like, I think you can achieve it on either side. You just need to have the strategy right and know, like, what you're creating it for. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, definitely. And I think exactly what you said, finding that that unique selling point,
I
think is a huge thing. I mean, the thing I've heard most about social media is like, what makes you different? Like you specifically. What is like, why are you here? And that, I think, aids in your, whatever campaign you want to put together, because it's that people connect with, as opposed to the same reel that everyone else is doing, or the same post, and I think people get caught up in, oh, we should put a post up saying something about this. And you go, do you care about that? It's like, well, no. But, well, don't do it.
And the comparison thing too, the comparison trap. I think socials is I think it can be used for a lot of good, but that's one of the bad things, is the comparison trap. You see other brands doing something or other businesses doing something, oh, we have to do that too. And that's where it's really important to have that understanding of who you are and your business, what you're trying to achieve, and having that social media strategy, which is like your game plan for socials, and to always come back to that. Like, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, and this is how we're going to do it. And so then it, hopefully you don't fall into that as much. And when you're creating your content, like, that's sort of your framework that you work off.
I think, as they say, like, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes, exactly. So, 100%. And it's like, I like what you said about the points of difference, because ultimately in any business, no matter what industry you're in, the people work with you for who you are. Like, you go to Kmart because, you can get pretty cool stuff at like a pretty good price, right? Pretty easily accessible price, right? But then you might go to somewhere a bit more trendy like David Jones because, I'm going to pay more money, but it's going to be quality, and they have this brand that I like there, or whatever it may be. They're known for different things, but they have their target audiences.
Yeah, but if you that's exactly right. If you ask them, you said, hey, why did you go to Kmart? And someone goes, I don't know, I get cheap, nice things. That's exactly it. Like,
that's Kmart.
Someone's doing their job right.
Legit. Exactly. So that's what you have to figure that out for your business. And that's the number one thing on socials that I talk about a lot with my clients and just with everyone in general, is figuring out who your target audience is, because you don't know who you're going to speak to if you don't know who they are. So you got to figure out who they are, and then
that's such a hard thing to figure out, though, isn't it? As well.
Well,
because I imagine
not really. I mean, maybe, but like, okay. I mean, you run through some questions, right? Like, you go, okay, so target audience, okay, cool. So, what do you want to achieve in business? Like. And they're like, okay, cool. Well, I want to, a real estate agent. Oh, I want to sell homes in like Griffith and like Kingston and stuff. Okay, cool, sweet. So what sort of like demographic lives there? Okay, cool. Like, people that have more money and etc. This age, do these jobs. Okay, cool. And so why do you want to sell there? And like, what are you selling there? And what are you focusing on? And then you just nail it and dial it down more. And then you figure out, okay, cool. Well, actually, I'm going to speak to, millennials who are looking to buy like their first, like, prestigious premier home in that area. Sweet. Okay, cool. So that's who we're speaking to. So how do they like to be communicated with? What do they want to see? Like, what do they want to hear from you? Like, what's information that they find valuable? Just got to dial it down.
And how do you know that? How do you know how they like to be spoken to?
Well, that's where you do your research.
That's where you come in.
That's exactly. I mean, I think that's definitely where I come in, like the strategy side of things. I find with I don't know if you guys have seen this, but with socials, like, everyone has socials, right? Pretty much everyone has socials, like, in a personal perspective. And so sometimes I find when I say I do social media for work, they're like, oh, okay, so you post like nice photos for people. It's like, yeah, I do that. But there's so much more that goes into it in the back end. And I think that's what, as we were chatting about before, that's what businesses I think are really starting to appreciate now, is that you can't just like throw up random posts on socials and expect it to do good. You actually have to do all of that back end work. So you have to go through all those questions that we just spoke about, like figuring out who the business is, what they want to achieve, who their target audience is, creating a strategy that's going to achieve those things for them, creating like a content plan based on those things, shooting that content, then producing that content, creating that content, writing all the captions, doing your copywriting, doing your hashtags, doing your SEO, scheduling.
Claire's nodding at me right now.
Yeah, Claire knows.
Like, I do this a lot, and it's not easy.
There is a lot. I mean, because when you say social media, we think, oh yeah, social media. Like, I posted a reel the other day on my personal account, which is great. It's cool, but it's doing it for a business is very different to doing it personally. And so all of that goes into the one post that you might see. And
it's all about being insightful as well. Like, I was talking to a person quite recently, and he runs a small tech company and obviously contracts to government. And his thing is about analytics, and what he does, he actually does a lot of cross-industry analytics. So a really good example is let's say like an EV or Tesla or whoever want to be selling more cars. Well, if you take that idea and if you do all your analytics in, let's say, the real estate sector, you understand, like, okay, who's buying houses in these certain areas? Why are they buying these houses? How much money are they making? How many charging ports are near those areas? Do you need to just throw like 2 more charging ports in Belconnen and all of a sudden everyone's going to be super excited to buy one? So it's these it's those little things that you wouldn't always like dot to dot draw the line for, but they are things that matter to each other quite a lot. And I think that background analytic of understanding how all of those things connect, I think, is also a big like arrow in your quiver for then connecting the part of like content to consumer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, market research is a big thing. Like going back to your question about like how do you know how to speak to them? Yeah. You've got to research all of those things. You've got to look at potentially like other people in the industry that are doing that, like whether that's locally, nationally, internationally. You've got to look at what worked for them, what didn't work for them. You've got to look at, all of those sort of back-end analytics as well. And a lot of it actually does come down to just trying. You know, you've got all of that, but then you don't know if it's going to work. You've just got to try it. Yeah. And then you've got to see what sticks. Yeah, like that's, I always say to new clients, like we're going to do bullets and cannonballs, right? So we're going to shoot some bullets and see what sticks, and then where it's stuck, we're going to shoot cannonballs there, right?
That's
so
a great way of
we're going to emphasize that, because I mean you can do all the research that you want and create this plan that you think is going to work, but you don't know until you actually do it. Yeah. So you've got to just do it, see what works, and then emphasize that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about just like you can do as much of that as you want, and if you don't do it right, you can be scrolling on whatever social media and look at a squirrel that's done 5 times better reach than you. Yeah, you're like, the squirrel's so much cuter than your content, and now you just feel like, oh, I've lost it. I don't have it anymore.
I mean, love the squirrels.
Maybe it's just all squirrel content.
Yeah, I'm here for the animal stuff. That's like my whole like feed is just the animals.
See, do you follow Nature is Metal?
No.
That's kind of the antithesis.
Oh my god, I saw actually the lightning antithesis
thing. Yes.
The lightning cloud thing? Is that Nature is Metal?
It possibly. They do a lot of animals, but also like environment.
I saw a video on my Reels thing, like literally today, where there was like this big cloud where lightning was coming out of it as well.
They're wild. Yeah. It's kind of the antithesis of cute puppies. It's basically just like
I love this.
Lions like killing things. And it's sort of like the reminder that nature is far more metal than you remember it as. You know, it's like bears aren't cute.
Yeah. They will kill you. Yeah.
Yeah. Bit of a tangent, but and that's the thing. Like content will always, again, take precedence as well. So
I mean, but look at us talking about this content. It's just like that's the reach that it can have.
And that's the reach, exactly. And actually, that's a good point as well. Yeah. Because I think people have an expectation of like a social media person will take photos that we've taken and put them online and say something nice, and then we'll be okay. But from the things that I've seen, like I know a small restaurant in London that was kind of breaking even, and doing okay, and COVID hit, and they got stuck into socials. I think they just did it themselves, and they turned their like page into almost like a meme page, and they were doing like Easter hunts with wine and but it was edgy and dorky and silly, and they went up to like 50,000 followers, and they now have 3 restaurants.
Wow.
And
amazing.
It was all because they went down the route of like, oh, we won't take cute pictures of our food or like sexy pictures of our food with nice lighting. Yeah. We're going to throw up like dank memes with like pasted over our like label on the front, and people just reacted super hard to it. Yeah. So perfect. In that respect, and I think that's definitely a success story, like of someone's social. Yeah. And in some ways that's quite unique. How do you find that unique method of getting someone, like, I guess the question is that necessary all the time? Having that super unique, wild, out there thing that will get you a lot of reach, or is it something else? Yeah, I mean, again, it comes back to their objectives, right? Because,
I mean, having a lot of followers is good. I think it sets up, brand trust, and it does, in that instance, like enable you to open more restaurants because you have more people coming to your restaurant. But I don't think your followers always represent the success of the business, in the sense that sometimes people can get too caught up in like the followers amount,
Yes.
especially, you know, in Canberra. If you're a business or a company that services only in Canberra, there's only so many people you can have following you that are actually going to be your target audience that want to work with you. So it depends, again, what you do and how palatable that is, because food, obviously, you can share very wide, and everyone loves food. Like, everyone needs to eat. Most people love food. So that's sort of fun in that sense. And they did something really unique and really fun, right? But
that doesn't always have to be the case. Is that
I don't agree with the sense that, like,
you have to do that for every client.
Yeah, or that followers should be getting like thousands of followers should be the objective for everyone, because often it's not. And it's a really good point to bring up, because it is talked about a lot, and people often come to me like, I want to get 10,000 followers. I'm like, okay, why do you want to get 10,000 followers? Like, what's that going to achieve for your business? Like, yeah, it looks good, but is it actually going to bring you more business? Is it going to bring you like more money into the business? Are you going to, like, how does that work? So it's about dialing that down and figuring that out. But coming back to like your original question about sort of how do you craft like that unique sort of strategy, like how to create the uniqueness. Yeah, it's about understanding your points of difference. Like, it all ties into one another, right? Like, what are your points of difference?
They are all
Who's
very
your target
connected.
audience?
Yeah, it's like a pentagram. Things just kind of bounce off each other back to
How
forth.
are you going to, like, dial in? So they did that really well, because they're obviously really quirky, have a bit of fun, like, don't really care too much about what people think of them, maybe.
And their customer base is exactly that
Exactly.
as well.
So they, like
all East London hipsters.
nailed it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that just, like, nailed it. So it's like, how do you recreate something like that? Like, obviously you wouldn't do the exact same thing.
No.
But how do you create something that's really going to align with your target audience and is going to, like, make people take notice, like, and that, I guess that's what you have to go through with your clients or as a business owner, and like really, but you have to understand like your audience to do that.
And I think like from this conversation, a lot of the time we've been going into this thing, and your answer ultimately revolves around yes, but why?
What is it, sorry?
Yes, but why?
Oh, yeah, always.
Someone's like, I want 10,000 followers. Like, yes, but why?
Yeah.
Oh, because I want it to look good. Okay, but why?
Yeah.
And then, like, you dive deep enough. I mean, you don't get to, like, childhood trauma, but you come back a little bit further and go, okay, because right now we're not doing as much volume as I'd like to be doing.
Correct.
I want us to do more volume.
We want to open a second shop,
exactly.
Whatever it is. Okay, cool, sweet. So then how are we going to do that? All right, cool.
So I think a lot of the things that makes a success with what you're doing, from what I'm hearing, is just stripping all the way back and building back up.
Yeah.
To the original question, just kind of like testing all the things from the bottom to the top to make sure that they're structurally sound.
Yeah.
Rather than like someone just on a whim being like, I never got enough attention, I'd like some more.
Yeah, and I mean that's where it really comes back to like, I try to make sure I'm aligned with the business and that we're on the same wavelength and what we want to achieve, because, you know, if they are just like, oh, I want to get 10,000 followers, you can be like, okay, cool, I'll get you 10,000 followers, but it's like, why are we doing that? And also, how are we going to do that? And like, what's the point of that? So not to say it can't be done, but often I find most of the business owners' goals, that actually has nothing to do with it. So that's just a nice, like, extra, like, sprinkles on the top.
Yeah. Should we talk about?
Did you understand?
Yeah.
You're like, did you get it?
Yeah. Do you understand, little man? Yeah. Person who has no idea about social media? Yeah.
I think you do. You're pretty,
I know
does.
I know a little bit. I get enough to understand the lingo, but I probably could never do it myself. Well, I take that back. I'm yet to do it properly. I'm actually...
Luke's got a new page for his own stuff, hey?
Cool.
Yes,
He's like, got to grow it, but good luck.
What do you mean your own stuff? Like your own, like... Photography?
Yeah, funnily enough, I am in love with food photography. My background is all hospitality.
Really?
So, like, it's...
Oh, that's just good to know.
Cocktail?
Yeah.
I love being adjacent. Yeah, I love being adjacent to the industry, but not working in it.
Right.
So
I'll have to follow your page.
Yeah, it's not... It's almost nothing at the moment. I'm actually thinking about... I've been thinking a bit hard about the unique selling point of it all recently.
Yeah.
And I think the two things that are is like I do a lot of cooking. I can
you're a baker.
I can cook and bake and make cocktails quite well.
Yeah.
So
film
like
yourself doing that.
So exactly, like utilizing that, but also
UGC. Perfect.
I'm also a new photographer in that as well, and I think telling that like timeline story of like, okay, I'm starting from scratch. Like, watch me fail or succeed.
Yes, love it.
And
like, learn with me as we go along.
Yes, and I think that would probably be more interesting than like me posting the occasional photo of cheesecakes.
Yeah,
which like
100%.
okay, they're nice.
If you want to make more cheesecake, do that.
Yes.
This is how I make cheesecake.
Yeah.
And make everyone happy.
You ever had Basque cheesecake? No. Burnt cheesecake?
Oh, Basque, yeah, sorry, yeah. Is that how you say it? Basque? Yeah.
Basque, Basque cheesecake. Oh,
it's
like
banger.
the easiest recipe and it's the most delicious. It's so easy.
Oh, I have to try.
And it's quite sexy photograph.
It's really nice. You've got the contrast of like, the colours are amazing because you've got like super dark browns, almost blacks, and then you've got like tans and like rich egg yolks and then like creams, and it's very,
It's yum. Yeah, I like fun. That.
So we were talking earlier about a restaurant that you recently worked with.
Yes, and followers. So, restaurant client that I took on, they had about 4,500 followers, which was pretty good. They've built up like quite a considerable following. And then within a month of doing their content, so we did like some really cool reels, like a really cool content strategy because they hadn't been doing much video before that. They got 2,500 followers. So,
which is a lot.
Yeah, a lot in a month,
right?
and that's not common. Like that's not something that I would be like, oh yeah,
Don't promise it.
no,
I get
never.
like 1 or 2 in a month, I'm like, hey, I'm doing good.
Yeah, I mean that is good. Like that's growth is good in any form. I remember I kept saying to the owners because they were like, oh, this is so cool, and I was like, just remember like this is a long term game.
Just hold on,
And like these people that are following you, like most of them probably aren't from Canberra, so they're probably not actually going to come and buy from your business and come to the restaurant. I mean, it looks good to have that many extra followers, but it's not necessarily going to correlate into sales.
Yeah. Although, how much do you think that someone like looking at an Instagram page, for example, someone says to me, hey, you should go check out Lazy Sue. Okay, cool, because they've got a pretty dope
that's cool.
Content.
Yeah.
And you go look at their page and you go, oh, this stuff is cool. They look nice. And oh my God, they've got like 15,000 followers.
Yeah.
They must be cool.
Yeah.
So I'll book it.
Before about like, what was it? I've forgotten. It was something about the brand, like, not trust.
It builds brand trust, So like it's an instant, I said it builds brand trust. So when you come onto someone's page, it's a psychological thing that we see the numbers. If they're high, automatically we trust them because there's lots of people that are following them. Yeah. So it's like, oh, they trust them, so I trust them. Or like,
it's like inbuilt trust.
Yeah, legit. Yeah. So it like builds that automatically. So that's why it's good to have obviously like a decent amount of followers, but like having hundreds of thousands of followers might not be possible for your direct business, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're not going to be successful and meet your objectives. So just figuring out again, what you want to achieve. And
I think having enough, like
there's a sweet spot.
There
absolutely
is.
Like you can have like 10 million if you want, but like
that's a lot.
You need to work on that, and that's your full-time job.
I feel like there's a point as well.
That's
where
like Kylie Jenner stuff. Like that's Justin Bieber. Yeah.
There's a point where like it looks like there's too many, and you go question mark. Are they real followers?
A lot of bots.
Yeah. That I think I get that sometimes where I'm like, I really want to follow this page, and I'm like, it's only got not that many actual good posts.
Yeah.
Why are all these people following it, kind of thing?
Yeah, it is real. Like I've had some people say that to me about some pages of businesses, and they're like, "Are they real followers?" Because like they have like 30,000, and like that's just like, how did they get that?
And there's like 8 posts, and it's all like.
Or their reels have like 100 views, and you're like, how do they have 80,000 followers when their reels have 100 views? Like, it doesn't add up.
They've been dropping off big chunks of like cash deposits to someone somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean, and that's where it gets a bit ugly, right? Where people think that the number of followers like determines their worth, and it doesn't.
Yes.
And that's a big thing I try to like convey all the time, is that it doesn't determine your worth, it doesn't determine your success. Yes, it does help with all those things that we spoke about, but it's not like the be all to end all.
No, what did they say? I think I've seen a thing which says having hundreds of thousands of followers is like being rich in Monopoly.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's like that's exactly how it is.
Well, and the scary thing is that we don't own our Instagram. It can go at any point, right? Like you can like, it can be deleted. It can be.
That's true.
You can just lose them in an instant. And I've seen that with pages, like no one that I manage, but you see it online where they have a big following, it gets deleted or suspended or whatever it is, hacked.
Normally through someone reporting it as well. Yeah. Or like saying it's.
Yeah, and then it's gone, and then they have to build it up. And so I guess, not to like make people scared, but that's something to be conscious of, is that like it's not the be all to end all, and it's about like
don't get too like
attached to it, and it's about like owning your customers as well, in the sense like owning them in the sense that like your data, like having your email groups and your email lists, and like having that information and that following off socials as well, I think is a holistic like marketing plan.
And as well, like there's a lot of call to action work within Instagram, and so someone's like link page or like their main page, there's you see like successful Instagram accounts will have like a link tree.
Yeah.
And then like all their stories will be like services they provide.
Yeah.
And
start here.
Yeah,
read
there'll be
this.
start here, and there'll be like phone numbers or emails or any of that.
Perfect. Love it.
Yeah, and that's like, and how important is that, do you think?
Yeah, very important. I mean, I always say that like your Instagram page is like a landing page for your business, right? Or like your digital portfolio.
It's a good way of looking at it.
So when people hear your business name, or they might see it shared somewhere, or you commenting somewhere or something like that, they're going to click on it, and what's the information they're going to get automatically? If you don't have in your bio exactly who you are and what you do, have like a clear photo, clear business name, have the links that you mentioned in your highlights, have, I think start here is a really good one, and then have all your services or whatever it may be.
Oh.
She doesn't like it.
Lottie's, she clearly doesn't like talking about social media.
She's like, socials, mum. Bless
You're
her.
meant to be good.
Yeah, she's a good gal.
I remember when we were planning our wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And this was in 2018.
Fun, yeah.
So socials were around, but like, not everyone had them. Every single supplier that I wanted to work with, first thing I did was get on the socials.
Yeah.
And I looked at tagged photos.
Yeah.
To see what
good one.
That's clever.
happened.
Yeah.
And that was my like. That was my okay. Is this company good?
Yes.
Or are they just putting up photos? Like.
It's so true. Like, especially maybe like mid-30s under, they would go to social media before they go anywhere else to check anything.
Yeah.
Like, if I hear anything, I'm on socials. Like restaurants, any brands, shopping, whatever, I'm on there. And like, majority is. Like, there's actually been a study that came out last year. It said like 88% of people below 40 will jump on socials to check.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's why it's so important to have your Instagram page actually reflecting, like I said, it has to be like a landing page. Like, it has to be showing your audience what you want them to see, like what you do, who you are, why you do it, examples of what you do, like whatever it is, whether you're product or service based, so they can jump on there and instantly see, okay, this real estate agent sells mostly in the inner south, or they work with these people, or whatever it is. Yeah, because that is like the quickest way that people get information these days. And I love what you said, Claire, about checking the tagged photos, because
the tagged, that's a great
you can't hide from that. That's like, you can create your feed however you want it to look and have all the information, but the tagged photos is going to show the truth.
Yeah, and I feel like, can you untag yourself from photos?
You can. I think you can hide them. Yeah, you can definitely.
Yeah. But don't.
Back in the day, probably not. No.
But that's a really good way of looking at it, because it could be, it's a really good demonstration of, I suppose, people who are willing to engage with you to the point of like creating a post that has you in it.
Yeah.
And that says a lot. Like, I mean, geez, I've got friends of mine who wouldn't put me in a picture of their feed. So like, well, just, it's one of those things where, I think people are more and more concerned about how their feed looks and what's in it.
Yes.
And for you to appear in it, I think that does make a bit of a difference. So. Yeah.
And on that, the whole, the feed aesthetic. So I think that's a good maybe point I want to dive into, is about, I think it probably started back then in like 2018, 2019, the feed aesthetic, had to look a certain way, had certain colours.
The white borders.
Yeah,
was
the
big.
white border. Oh yeah, the white borders. Wow, yeah. The white borders. And, like every sixth post you do like a certain graphic, and, so it all looks perfect. And people often come to me and they're like, oh, my feed, they're thinking they have to do that. And if you have time to do it, and if it works for your business, cool, you can focus on that. But I don't think everyone has to do that. Like, I feel like that's a bit of an outdated strategy where you have to make everything look perfect. Like, I think it has to provide value, has to tell your story, it has to share who you are and what you do, but it doesn't have to have this perfection to it, that it has to be all the exact same colors, have this exact flow and everything like that.
Yeah, I think they say they never let perfect get in the way of great. Exactly,
100%. And literally, I tell all the clients that I work with, that I do coaching with, where they go and do it themselves, I always tell them do not strive for perfection. Just do the best that you can in that moment. It's better to get the content out than to be sitting on it for weeks and weeks and never post it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably do that. I know I do that.
Yeah, it's a big thing. I mean, I can get stuck in that trap too, and so it's. Yeah, I mean, we spoke about before about the whole comparison thing, having a strategy, but the perfection thing is a big thing, and Instagram is this whole you have to look a certain way sometimes, and you have to portray yourself in a certain way, but you don't have to. You just have to be authentic to you and what your brand is, and that's all that matters. And if you want to have a messy feed, that's fine. As long as it looks good and it's professional and it's value, I think that's all that matters. You don't have to have the perfect like curated feed.
How do you define messy compared to curated?
Messy is maybe just like throwing up, you know, like, I mean, there's a strategy to it, but like putting photos that aren't necessarily the same color hues, or like, you know, like place, the fully aesthetic.
Yes.
Because that isn't all that provides value. Like, aesthetics isn't the only thing that provides value. Maybe all of those pictures that you've put up all have value in them, or the videos that you put up. Like, you go onto like some people's pages, like the creators or, you know, the videographers and stuff, for example, and they'll be like sharing, like, you know, the ones that share all the educational tips, like how to do this, and their whole feed is just like the cut from the reel with like some writing over it as to what it is, and that's fine because it instantly tells you what it is, and you're like, cool, that's a reel about how to edit this or whatever you're looking for, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like it's sort of, it is what it says on the tin.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the whole aesthetic thing, like, people can get really caught up in it, and you have to, like, you know, do a certain post every few posts and all of these things, and it's like, or like people post stuff like from Pinterest, so it like looks nice in the feed, and I'm not hating it's posting stuff from Pinterest, but it's more about, again, like value over volume. Like, don't just post things for the sake of it, or don't just post it for the feed to look good. If someone's coming to your feed and they click on that post, are they going to get value out of that?
Yep.
Like, if that's the first post that they click on when they click on your feed, what are they going to think?
Yes.
Like, how's your business going to come across in that moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. It's all about like that sort of, and I guess it comes back to like the whole point of social media in some ways, or like at least the way that we've used it. We use it as even on our like personal, you know, you use it as like a landing page for you. Or even if it's your personal account, it's like, this is how, like, recently I've heard about Finsters.
Oh yeah, like financial.
No, fake Instas.
Oh,
have you heard about this?
No.
This is like
Here we go.
This is like a far too young for me millennial Z
this
gen.
is why I'm not in
on.
this one. Yeah.
So apparently, what young people will do oh god, that makes me sound horrifyingly old. They will create two Instagrams, right? One is their this is like their personal brand image, basically.
My little cousins do this. Yeah.
And the other one is their fake Instagram, which is like numbers and letters and like symbols, and it's them being an absolute lunatic.
Yeah.
But it's all private, and they only let their friends see it.
Yeah, they say like private Insta, and I'm like, hang on, why do you have two Instagrams? Like, this is so weird.
Yeah, because it's like, these are the ones. I'm like, the fake Insta is what real Instagram used to be.
Yes.
And the other one is now what Instagram currently is.
Yes.
Yeah. That curated feed.
Yeah, the curated, and I mean, I love that, the fake thing. It's great.
No, we don't need to do that.
No, us millennials are okay. I'm not against the curation. Like, I think it has a place, and like, you know, if you're like an interior designer or like something like that where that represents your brand, then that's great. But again, it's just about not getting like too caught up in the perfection of things, right? Like, it's better to get content out there than to be sitting on it for weeks and weeks and not posting it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, like the way that we've done ours a lot, you know, we engage in clients. We engage with our clients in some ways that is more playful. You know, we have Paparama.
Yeah,
that comes up every now and again. And I think in some ways,
I'm guessing it's a dog.
Yes, for those who have no idea
dogs
what's going
involved
on and who I guess can't like decode analogies. It's basically puppies.
Yeah.
At homes that we go to, and
I saw one went up. Was it today?
It was very recently. Yeah.
Yesterday, I saw it on my feed today. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's great.
It's very wholesome. I always include dogs or cats or pets in the videos that we do.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. I had there's a rural property, and I don't think I'll ever forget this story. There's a rural property I went to, and it was in the middle of nowhere. The woman had it was like a 10 kilowatt system, lived off the grid.
Wow.
She had a jacuzzi, pool table room. Obviously, it wasn't just her. It was like a whole family house. And there was pug paraphernalia about the house.
Oh, yes.
And she was like, I've taken all the pug stuff away. And I was like, you have? How much pug stuff did you have? Because there was like enough already for me to like question her sanity.
Yeah.
But even better, she owned 5 pugs, a Jack Russell, and another dog as well.
I love this.
There was like a shed that was adjacent to the house, and there was like a baby gate or like a kid-proof gate.
Yeah.
And like 5 of them were all lined up, drooling all over themselves, jumping off like crazy. And that was in the videos of promotion, and it was just so much fun.
I love it.
It was by far the best part of the video.
I love that stuff. I mean, I feel like that probably reflects who you guys are, right? Like, you guys love animals, or, you know, you have a connection with them, and so that's like, you know, a bit playful, fun side of things.
Yeah, I think what I think from my perspective anyway, Pat's brand is very like human.
Yeah.
You know, it's very personable and like small business and storytelling. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean that's social media and 101 storytelling.
And that's Pat's favorite buzzword.
It's like his ethos.
It's his driving thing, I think.
Yeah, that's like your mission statement.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously like a really good thing to have because, like you've said, it's that quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And having that quality of story, I think, is remarkably important.
Yeah.
And the way that someone like connects with a house, or the way someone like connects with an agent, really does come through that story of like, I could really see myself waking up in the morning and sitting at that desk.
Yeah. Definitely. It's the emotional side of things.
Yeah.
Because you want to, like I find that with video, you connect a lot more through video because it, captures your emotions more than what a still image will, especially, with houses, for example.
Yeah.
I think the storytelling thing is a great aspect, and it really reflects over to socials, because socials is basically you're just telling your story, your business story, your personal story, your business story, whatever it is. And that's like a really like high level way to look at your strategy is like how are you going to tell the story of your business?
It's almost like the About Us page.
Yeah.
But more in
it's
depth.
not even just the About Us, it's all of it, because you might tell your services, you might tell your clients that you've helped, you might tell, et cetera, like people in the business. I mean, that would be about us. But yeah, like, and it's content is all just these bite-sized little pieces of the story. So it like creates this story as you go through your
like
feed.
Episodes almost.
Legit, like, the episodes, I like that, exactly. It's like a TV show.
Yeah. Season 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What are we on, season 6 now, Fatorama? Yeah.
Okay.
We're here like 6 years? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I love that. Okay, season 6. And like in the story too, it's like, when you watch, a TV show or you're reading a book, it has the same sort of theme throughout, right? Like it won't go from like romance to horror to like comedy, like it's a comedy or it's a rom-com or it's a horror or whatever it is. And so it's like...
horror-com. Yeah.
It's a horror-com. that'd be weird.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Great film.
Okay, hot tips.
Definitely a horror-com. Yep.
Okay. Well, like whatever your theme is of your story, you weave it through all your content, right? So that's sort of like, you got to have like, that's sort of your branding, right? Is your theme. Like, so you don't want to like do something that's like, you do this like...
jarringly different.
That's going to stand out, because it's like, remember, you're telling this story, you're on this theme, like... that's a good way of explaining it, right?
And
it's like your bite-sized little elements.
Yeah, and once you get that flow, I think it's way easier. I think if you don't know what that flow is, or you don't know what your storyline is, it's so hard to be like, what story are we telling? Maybe we could tell this or this. But once you get a hard line down the slopes, you've got just like, you just go.
Yeah.
It's so much easier that way.
I guess that's where it comes back to like all of those questions, right? And like sitting down and figuring out, like we said, who you are, what your values are, who you're speaking to, why you're speaking to them, and doing that like every quarter, every 6 months, just to like reflect, because things change.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
That's understandable.
So
I guess goals would change from like meeting to meeting. It's like, let's grow some followers. Hey, we grew some followers. What's our next goal? Is that kind of...
Oh, cool. We want to get more people in for a lunch service.
Yeah,
Let's
nice.
do that. And I mean, that's why initially when I started the business, I was doing social media strategies as like a one-off document. I did a social media strategy with you, and then that was it for the rest of it. Whereas now I've inbuilt that into my ongoing service, and so we do that every quarter now.
Yeah,
so
that's way better.
Okay, cool. Because one, social media changes so often.
Yeah.
That are relevant now. We're not relevant like 3-4 months ago.
3-4 minutes ago. Yeah.
Legit, exactly. And also, as you mentioned, your business goals change. Maybe you want to achieve different things. Maybe, like with me, like I feel like I've rebranded. Like my ideal client has changed. All of these things change in business, and so we don't want to like, box ourselves into this one, we have to do this. So I think that's important to like regularly go back to, and then that helps you like build that story on socials. And as we mentioned before, it's like, just try. Just start off with something. Okay, this is what I think I want to achieve. This is what I think I am, or whatever. Throw it out there for 2-3 months. Reflect on it. Look at the analytics. What worked? What didn't work? What do I like? What did the people like? Reframe and go from there.
Yeah, and I think having that refresh, like you said, I think definitely helps that momentum. Rather than like, even if you did it once a year, it would probably still be too late. Having it like every quarter.
Is probably the best.
Yeah, and it makes sense in terms of like business direction and model and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, goals too.
Yeah, I feel like most businesses will, like those who are taking themselves seriously in some respects, will say, "Oh, we're having our monthly meeting. Let's also organise our monthly social around that same time, either before or after, so that we know what story we're telling."
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I find that works best.
I have one more question to ask you, and I'm going to reset the camera just in case. Yeah, welcome. Yeah.
Achoo, it's back.
Achoo, boom. Yeah.
Welcome. It's hay fever season.
That could be like the cut boards that they've got.
Just a sneeze.
Oh yeah, the
Take
sneeze.
two. Yeah.
I love it.
Future plans.
Yeah.
No, the strategy took a lot of time, and it wasn't really, for the amount of time that it took, it didn't really provide enough benefit.
And did
in
you
that
feel
sense.
people were even reading it, taking
No.
it in, absorbing it?
No.
Like, I feel like the
No.
amount of time that you can put into a strategy,
Yeah.
and then they go, cool.
Yeah,
And
right.
you're like-
Let's start doing content, because all they
Yeah.
really care about is the content, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't do like the big document and stuff anymore. I just do like the meetings with them, and
Yeah.
we have like we have it written down. It is in a document per se, but it's not like a 10-page document. It's like a 2-page document.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About what we're achieving and how we're doing it, and
Yeah. And then
like,
you're on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always changing and evolving, as we mentioned, because socials
Yeah.
is a moving beast.
I don't know if we already asked, but are you creating all their content, or are you getting them to provide you footage? Because I guess if you are on the same page, you've got that document. If they go, oh, I could provide this, which hits that strategy point, are you wanting them to do that, or are you steering more towards creating yourself, because then it keeps consistency?
Yeah, so I do a bit of both. It really depends on the client and their capabilities and their capacity.
Yep.
Do you have
so
to be brutally honest
Yeah.
and be like, your videos aren't good enough. I'll do them for you.
yeah, well, so
It's any industry.
yeah, again, good business, bad business, etc.
True.
But yeah, I think we really define that quite early. Like, can you do this and can you not do it? And plus, all
Do you wanna do
clients,
it?
do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Do you know how to do it?
Yeah.
Does it look good?
Do you have the time to commit to this? Because it
Exactly.
is a commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the clients that I take on for social media management, I do content creation.
Amazing,
For them.
yeah.
It's an included in the it's 2 packages, but it's like, if you do this, you have to do this. So that's a part of my package. And because the clients that come to work with me, they want to work with me because of my content.
Baby's crying in the background if you can't hear.
Oh my goodness.
It's all right.
She really wants to be
Fine.
here. She loves us. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I want to be on the
I love
podcast.
socials.
yeah.
Yeah. This is my future.
Yeah.
When she's 4, she's gonna be a handful.
She's already, I know.
She's gonna be on the iPhone, just
She's
like.
already all over my socials, so she's already
Yes.
just wants to be
Yeah,
in.
Yeah.
she
Chat.
knows.
Yeah.
She knows.
She's always quiet on the socials. So.
Yeah, I know. It's funny, that isn't it?
Yeah, right. I wonder about the tags. Maybe the tag stuff won't be as quiet.
The tag.
I'll just stop putting up
Yeah.
videos of Lottie crying and just tag you in it.
She's okay. She's a
Thank
baby. Content, yes. So I think Reels is like my thing, right? Like, that's something that from what I've heard, people sort of come to me for, is because of my Reels.
You
They
are the
see-
real queen, yes.
Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
we
The
have
real
that.
Real
queen.
queen. REAL? Is that?
Yeah,
Yes.
you could do either. The real queen. Thank you. It's something I actually really love. Like, that's something I really
I think you can
froth
tell.
doing.
Like, when something is good, you can tell it's because they love doing it. And
yeah.
I think that comes across in your Reels.
yeah.
Like,
And it's
I
also
froth
because,
it.
like, I imagine, you're probably trying new things as well.
Oh, yeah.
I feel
Love
like
it.
stagnation would bother you. So you
yeah.
can always tell when someone's like, oh, that's a new transition, or like, oh, that's a different angle.
Yeah.
So, it's like it's more engaging because you're
Yeah.
seeing things progress.
100%. And I mean, that's again a key brand value, is that, like, and what comes into like the word better. Like, we created the word better because it was like, we're always moving and evolving, and it's not stagnant, it's like fluid. Like, I'm very much all about that. So I think that ties into the content creation, and that's why, like, when people come to work with me, they come to work with me for the content creation and the socials. It's not separate, it's together.
Yeah.
yeah.
So although in saying that, some of my clients, that do services, and I can't be there because I shoot monthly or bi-monthly, depending on what package they pick. I can't be on the ground all the time. So for some of my clients that are like service-based clients, they might take some content as well.
Yeah.
Like builders, like we've had an example
Yeah.
with builders who like, oh, we're laying concrete today.
Yes.
Or it's like, oh, we laid concrete yesterday. We're
Yes.
like-
Yes.
'cause it's like, oh, we should have been there for that. You
Yeah.
know?
It's
So
like the hindsight. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard like for us because we can't just like turn up on like a foreseen Tuesday and go,
Yeah.
okay, can you pour all the concrete today? Can
Yeah.
you hammer all the nails today?
Yeah.
Can you...
Yeah, there's definitely companies, and I'm sure you've
Yes.
seen as well, that it is very hard to schedule. Or
Yes.
if they have a schedule, it's a changing
Yes.
schedule.
Builders and trades.
Yeah,
Yes.
trades is a big one. Where like
Yeah.
I guess baking, food, things like that. That's something you can go, cool, you've got a new menu. I would love to come and shoot it.
Correct.
Let's do this whole thing. You know your
Exactly.
prep time, have ingredients.
Yeah.
It's so much more like manageable.
Yeah.
Or like real estate, I think as well, you can kind of schedule it a little bit.
Definitely.
There's definitely some industries that it's definitely...
Yeah, I think the timeline for real estate like is a little bit more pressurized than say food perhaps.
Yeah.
Because you obviously you want things on the market on the right days. And,
Yeah.
But it's still, you know, it follows a certain flow or some program.
Yeah, with builders and trades, sometimes there's often delays and things like that.
Yeah. Do you work with many of them?
Yeah, so I work with some builders, work with landscapers, some other trades.
Anything to do with real estate,
anything to do
really.
with property,
Yeah. I really need to follow you. I'm
Yeah,
asking questions that
join,
I probably should.
Here we go. I'm going to get a new follower.
Hey. One of the 2,000 coming up. Yeah.
Sweet. Excellent. Yeah, no, I find with them it's all about being proactive. Like, actually, one of my builder clients, he was like one of my first clients, and it's just about like I've learnt now to like ask them, okay, cool, what's the timeline on this project? Oh, it's going to be this week. Okay, aim for this week, and then like he's quite good. He's like quite proactive and will like message me and be like, oh no, we've moved to another week, etc. But yeah, it's just about having that scheduling right. And like for me, my clients are on like monthly shoots. I'm like, cool, so I'm going to shoot once a month. So what properties do you want me to go on this day? And like. So they're pretty good at organising that. Again, it's like setting it up from the start, right?
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is like I feel like tradies or builders like are notoriously known for if you want to know anything, you call them.
Yeah, for sure.
So like we've definitely one of our clients who we adore, like we really love working with them. We do still have to be like, hey, are you doing this thing today? Or it's like, hey, is this happening today?
Yeah.
And they go, yeah. It's just, but no, I mean, like, we really enjoy working with them, but it is one of those things where if you want to really service your client and be in service of, like, the thing that you're being positive about, you do have to put in a little bit of legwork for some clients rather than others.
Yeah, I think it's about framing it for them, too. Like, we're doing this to...
Do you need to go again, Claire?
Yeah, are you good? I was like, you're going to lay down? No.
Sorry.
Probably
That's
haven't
okay.
had a lot of sleep recently.
Yeah. Have a little snap. That's okay. I think with that, it's about like framing it, but for them, like I always, if I can't get out and shoot at them, and unfortunately, I'm going to have that content. So you need to set it up so I can come in. Because we're clicking together. Like we have a business relationship. I'm here to help you guys succeed. Like my tagline is like, we're your better half in business. So it's like for us to be your better half, you need to communicate with me.
It's good
you need to give me information. Thank you to Swell, my brand designers. They came up with that one. It's classic. But it's true, like, you need to work together. So, because I'm trying to help you succeed, right? Your marketing goals. And so to do that, we need to work together to figure out a plan. And, if things happen and you don't let me know, then that's going to impact that.
Yeah. And I think the really interesting thing is like, we've obviously had Flynn on the podcast recently.
Yes,
and,
she's great.
And having you here as well, I think the pattern that I'm seeing is that there's a utilitarian aspect to your outlook, both of you. We talked to Flynn and she was sort of saying things like, I put this painting here slightly out of sight to make you turn the corner.
Yes,
and
she's
I do
great.
this, and I put these here to stop you from walking here because this opens up the space over there.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'm doing this so that the house sells, and I want to make sure that this looks its best. And so it always comes down to the utility. And I think like people who are looking at their business models in terms of how can we look at this in a utilitarian aspect that drills down to the bedrock of what's most important.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what your branding is really focusing on, which I think is good. Like I think, and Pat is obviously the same in terms of the whole yes but why.
Yes.
I think definitely helps translate one to another.
Always.
From like the thing where you're like, oh, that doesn't seem very related. Why is there a photo of a dog here?
Yeah.
And then like at the end of the day, like the sale is like very emotive, or like there's, the idea. Like we've taken, I remember some of the rural shoots that we've done. You know, we always want to get like the farmer out on the tractor with the dog and the sheep.
Love
and,
it.
Like,
I mean, that's the dream, right? You're selling the dream of moving out there.
Yeah.
That's why people want to move out there, is for those things. So it's like that emotional response always.
And the funny thing is, like a lot of those people looking at that are looking from Sydney or Melbourne or Wollongong.
Country escape,
Yeah, it's becoming really popular now.
Yeah.
And so marketing, because honestly, before that, marketing for rural areas was probably not looked at in the same light as urban or cosmopolitan areas.
Yeah.
And I think now people, because of that, moving out to the country has becoming more popular. People are going, oh, we need to up our marketing.
Yeah,
like we need to
for sure.
be selling the lifestyle that these people are looking for.
Yeah. And I mean, that goes across all marketing, right?
Yeah.
You've got to sell what your people are looking for.
Yes.
Like, again, like, just comes back to what we were talking about, like, who's the target audience and how are you going to show it to them?
Every time, she brings it back to
every time.
Every
Sorry, but
time.
it's true.
I could
like,
ask any question, you're just going to be like, it depends on what your target audience is.
Well, that's what you're saying, right?
But it's super important, and it brings you back, yeah.
It's just good. I think I just like to highlight that because people are probably already doing this in their marketing and they might not even realize it, like, you know, stuff like that. You know,
like focusing on the...
focusing on the, you know, speaking to the target audience, but they don't really, might not recognize that they're doing that or understand why they're doing it. And when you understand what that is, then you can, like, emphasize it more and grow it more.
Yeah, they're doing it sort of intuitively rather than, like...
Exactly.
Analytically.
Yeah,
yes,
correct, yeah. And I mean, that's, like, the basis of all social strategy, right?
Yeah, the cameras are, they're great, but they're not good for, like, consistent... I
was just thinking the iPhone.
Long-term rolling. Would that overheat if you were recording 4K for an hour and a half?
I don't know.
Ooh.
Don't know. I don't know. I don't think in here it wouldn't.
It's pretty good.
Maybe if you're outside in the sun or something.
Yeah, they kind of die in the sun a bit.
I do shoots for like 3 hours and it's fine.
It's
Not that I'm rolling like consistently the whole time, but like... Yeah.
Are you shooting in 4K?
Yeah. Yeah, 4K, 30. Yeah.
30?
Yeah.
Not 24, not 60?
Not 60 because Instagram can't handle it. So...
Instagram can't handle 60?
Well, it can sometimes, it depends. Like sometimes it uploads blurry.
So, it compresses it or something?
Yeah, it compresses it. So I film in 4K 30 and then sometimes I can upload it. I can upload that automatically to stories and stuff if I want to. But then when I'm creating my reels in CapCut, I always do it 1080.
Yes.
Because then it looks on the reels, it's better, yeah. Because it can't handle 4K.
You're downscaling from 4K to 1080.
Exactly. So then it still has the quality, yeah.
But it's not going to get compressed.
Exactly,
yes. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Hot tips.
Very hot tips, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was having a conversation with someone recently. They said that you really should only be using 5 hashtags now. Is that?
Yes.
Is that a thing?
Yes. So hashtags. I think I've actually literally got a post scheduled for this. This is great.
No way.
Yeah.
That's great.
So Instagram, obviously hashtags back in the day was like, that was how you found everything. They are still used, but there used to be this rule of you have to use all of them and the max is like 30, right? But that isn't actually how it works anymore. So the way that they use hashtags is like through SEO. So Instagram and Facebook, like Meta, are using SEO now to basically troll all the content and figure out, okay, cool, you like dogs. This has a dog, I'm going to show you a dog, right? And it does that through the keywords and the captions, and it does it through the hashtags
So through the caption words.
Yeah, so closed captions, but also captions, like written captions too.
What do you mean closed captions?
As in, like, if you're doing a video and you've got captions on, like you're talking.
It goes that as well?
Yeah, that.
Interesting.
Written, like the, caption that you're writing, and also hashtags. And so the reason why there's this rule around, maybe only 5 is good because it needs to be things that are ultra specific to the post you're posting.
Yes.
If you're doing 30 hashtags, none of them are going to be ultra specific, like not all of them.
Yeah.
So, gone are the days of doing like hashtag IG daily and all those things. Like we don't need to do that anymore because
thank God.
No one's seeing that.
It's like hashtags, were a bane of my existence when I tried to do them.
Yeah, you just got to think of, okay, cool, what's in this post?
Yeah.
Hashtag that. And you can also use it like local things. So for me, like when I'm doing content for food places that I manage, hashtag Canberra food, hashtag Canberra eats, because it's where you are and what it is. And because people actually go to those hashtags to find like new food places, right? So like hashtag Canberra real estate or, whatever it may be, Canberra homes, whatever you're doing. So they're sort of the things that work best.
So I guess in some ways, the hashtags in some ways are helping with the sort of SEO of the platform, but also if someone's deliberately looking for that hashtag, that's the one you would want in your post.
Correct. So when you go on Instagram and you click search, and I'm looking up Canberra food or Canberra breakfast, I want to find a place to go for breakfast. It's going to show all the posts that have hashtags of Canberra breakfast. It's also going to show the posts that have the words Canberra breakfast in the captions.
Yes, interesting.
So, but again, it uses SEO to rank them, so you have to be mindful of that.
Fascinating. I had a really good Canberra breakfast this morning.
Yeah, where?
Yeah, there's a little greasy shop across the road.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what it was called.
What? Red Baron?
No, that's not greasy.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's like posh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's like across...
In Fishwick?
Yeah, it's like on the other side. Pat has been there before, and it was like some mega bacon and egg roll with like a potato scallop in it and an extra egg.
Stop
and cheese. It was like
potato scallop, yum.
Potato scallop and a bacon and egg roll goes.
You must always have like that or a hash brown. Ultimate.
Yeah, I think
needs
Pat,
potato.
I think Pat started it, and I had it for the first time this morning, and I'm now really worried for my waistline.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, good.
You're okay.
I'm gonna undo all
In
my
balance.
hard work. Yeah,
Balance.
exactly.
Yeah.
Just go for 5 runs a day.
It's good for the soul.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about Instagram, right? Like I think you operate a lot on that, and we operate quite a lot on that. And as well, for those listening as well, I'm asking for some very rudimentary questions about it. I don't run our socials. I am not involved in our socials. We have people who are very good at that. So please don't assume my silly question asking is like our capabilities. Regardless, I think there is something to be said about other platforms, right?
Yes.
And they can also be used in different ways for different things. Which one's a king? Like, how important are they? I guess, like you said, it all comes back down to what you're aiming for. But how would you sort of divvy that up between it all?
What do you think my answer's gonna be?
I'm trying to find a way to stop you from saying that.
Why?
Because I want a different answer.
No. So, but it does feed into this.
Yeah.
So you can't stop me. No. So platforms. I mean, Instagram. I mean, we're talking about it a lot, right? Because the type of business that we do, our target audience is on Instagram, right? And so Instagram is used mostly by 20s, 30s, probably, maybe up to 40s-ish. Whereas Facebook is sort of your older generations, right? So again, it does actually depend on your target audience and who they are, because
That's so unique. I've not heard that.
yeah. What's this word? You know what? You can pay me out, but it's very important.
I think it's a.
This guy's doing socials.
It's a very important
I
thing.
realise you're already. It's just going to be you saying.
Can we have a target audience counter? That'd be incredible.
Okay. What about value over volume? I almost got it wrong.
It is super important.
But
though,
it
and
is
I completely
important. Let's
understand.
just say your audience, okay? Because different audiences are on different platforms. Like I just said, like the younger generations are on Instagram. Older generations operate on Facebook. LinkedIn is obviously where your business professionals are. So that is more so like if you're a service-based professional, LinkedIn is good to have, but it might not necessarily be where you're talking like to clients per se. It's more so networking with other businesses and other people in business. I mean, there might be clients on there, but it's very much like a business networking platform.
Sort of
Yes,
stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
That's right. So, the content that you create for Instagram, you won't necessarily be sharing to LinkedIn.
Yes.
You'll be sharing, like if you're a real estate agent, like links to your listings, maybe like some client testimonials, like anything sort of that more like professional format.
Yeah, even like the auctioneer games.
Exactly.
And things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And like, if you have videos from your auction, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We'll do there.
Whereas like your clients, people who would come to you probably don't care that much about your career. Or
No.
like in some respects
No.
it's like those successful wins that your colleagues are more concerned
Exactly.
about. Who would
Yeah.
like to collaborate.
Exactly.
So you kind of like partition those things across platforms. Yeah.
Definitely nailed it. So you'd have different content strategies for the different platforms in that instance. For me, I just share all the same content from Instagram to Facebook. I don't really have a big engagement on Facebook because that's not where I do business, but it's there just in case people do look on Facebook. It is there. Pinterest is more of your like e-com is really big on Pinterest. Like your product-based stuff, massive on Pinterest. Also, like if you're selling anything like guides or product or whatever it is, like Pinterest is big for that stuff. Yeah, like. People have online guides that you can buy. Like, I might be selling like an online guide on like how to build your socials as a real estate professional.
Oh, interesting.
Like a visual how-to page.
Yeah, very much. And product stuff too. Yeah. Like, for example, people look up like homewares on Pinterest.
That's my first thought about Pinterest, and in my head it was like...
Coffee table selling.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, legit.
Interesting.
Mid-century modern living room style. Like, whatever it may be. Yeah, that's me too. So Pinterest is very big for that stuff.
Interesting.
I think that would be like the main ones. Yeah. Because you have YouTube too.
TikTok though?
Yeah, TikTok. Yeah, sorry, TikTok as well. TikTok is very similar to Instagram, just a younger audience.
Yeah.
So you sort of have your teens and maybe your early 20s on there.
Yeah.
Obviously there are older people on there too.
You still get outliers, but in terms of like
the predominantary is that. And so that's big again for same as Pinterest, your product stuff, guide stuff, just general like funny, like interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Not so much service based. And the reason why I say that, professional service based. Like if you're a real estate agent, you can start a TikTok if you want to, but you're not going to be speaking to your like target audience on there. Like you're just going to be making stuff for fun.
Kind of, yeah.
So I don't really see it as necessary. Like you can do it, but I don't think it's really going to be like a strong marketing channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Instagram and Facebook I think would be better. Using like meta ads would be much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of what I'd be looking at.
Yeah, I think TikTok, like, it's like you said, it's a bit of fun, and you can roll it into a business if you want to be viral in some respects.
Correct. Again, so it depends on like what you're selling, right, and who your
what is.
Yes, exactly. What is it?
Target audience.
Yeah, I got you to say it.
I'll say it if I
no,
have
but
to.
it's true because if you are like a product-based business, you can sell to anyone. So TikTok's gonna be great, and you see a lot of e-com brands like blow up on there.
There's a little like restaurants that blow up on that too. Like they have a unique, not even like unique selling point per se. They have a unique dish.
Yes,
like one like
that's right.
Fucking Salt Bay, if I can swear on this.
Salt Bay,
podcast.
great. Yeah.
I think he
Classic.
blew up on. Did he blow up on Instagram or TikTok?
It was TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I mean, you know, something super unique that just people just kind of really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Or like cheeseburgers that have burgers and then deep fried and then cheese and then more deep fried and then more burger.
Yeah,
like
wow.
Crazy over the top stuff.
Correct. Yeah, if you want to blow up, you go on there.
I think sort of like if you're searching for virality, I think TikTok is the place to be.
Or to build like a really big community. TikTok.
Community. Okay, it's interesting you use the word community for TikTok.
Yeah, like if you want to build, for TikTok, if you want to build a big community, like, I mean, that's going viral, right, is building like a big engaged community. Like you're building community on Instagram too, like Reels and TikTok, same.
But in my head, virality doesn't equate to community.
Well, I guess it depends how engaged they are, you know.
That's
like
true.
if you want to build an engaged community through that, but like it allows you, by going viral, to build a bigger community
a bigger
per se.
base. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
more like reach of that community. Yes,
Yeah,
I
so
know what you mean.
community isn't just like where you live. Like you can have an online
Oh, no,
community,
yes, no, of
right?
course,
yeah.
yeah.
So your online community, and so that's where like restaurants can do really well, and you can be like a destination restaurant that you would go to. Like you see it on TikTok. It's in Sydney. Oh my God, we're going to Sydney to go to this restaurant, right? So
I've heard that a few times.
Yeah. But I mean, I think Reels do the same thing now. So you can create content that you can put on both and see what works best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cannons and bullets.
Yep. Bullets and cannonballs. Yep.
Yes, cannonballs and bullets. Yeah.
Target audience.
482.
Yeah, thank you.
No,
anyway,
sure.
it's a big part of what I do.
Yeah. No, look, like, I was like making fun of you, but like it's obviously super important.
This guy. No.
Who knows nothing.
Nah.
Exactly, not even in here.
She doesn't even go here.
It doesn't even go here.
Very our age joke.
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
feel like TikTok though is also like international? Like I feel like if you're on TikTok, it goes to the whole world kind of thing. I know Instagram does as well. I feel like Instagram's always targeting you to more local things.
Yeah.
Where TikTok is like, you could get someone in America,
Yeah.
which is really unrelated to the
Yeah.
help you.
Correct. Yeah, I think the algorithms are different, and they've, you know, there's been a lot of sort of people showing that they are very different. And you know, TikTok have come out and said their algorithm's different to Instagram in that sense, and so that's why with Instagram, like the way that their algorithm works is that they're trying to show it to people maybe closer to you or think that are interested in your stuff. Whereas TikTok, you do have that ability to go a lot more viral. And so, you hit the nail on the head where, like, on TikTok, like, let's say you create the same content for Reels and TikTok. You might get more views on TikTok and you might get more followers on TikTok, but they might not be, like, people that are actually going to engage with your business. So, it really just depends on what you're trying to achieve and what your business actually does, you know, whether it's something that can be done worldwide or not.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, like, because I think e-commerce, you've brought it up a couple of times, and it sounds like social media and e-commerce are like best friends.
Oh, besties.
Because basically anything that e-commerce wants, social media has access to.
Correct.
Because you know, you can be global, you can be, you know, anything. Your e-commerce business is really only limited to the reach of your social media.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, these businesses are running off social media. Like they're building their businesses on social media through video content mostly. Like it's actually incredible the impact that it has on these businesses and the growth that it provides. Socials can do many miraculous things for your business when used correctly. And, you know, in the right way to achieve like what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Well, I think we've drained you of all your
hot tips.
Yeah, hot tips. Yeah, we've taken up a whole bunch of your time.
Oh
yeah,
yes, join.
Come back.
Join. Lottie to you too.
As soon as you sit down.
I know, don't fix it.
Shh, no, she's good. She's good. She's good.
It's gonna be fine.
We got this.
We got this. That's right. Knowing how like the cameras will stop rolling.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're good.
Sweet.
Continue.
Yeah, no, I think I was just like basically wrapping up. I think we've had like a really nice like talk about how you see socials and how your approach is in general. And I find it super intriguing. I think it's super applicable to the work that we do. Not only the stuff that we do for socials, obviously in our own sense, but also the way that we capture our content and how we think about what we think about.
Yes, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and we found you on socials. So
yes.
You're doing something very right. Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation and the opportunity. So thanks so much.
No, it's good to talk business and like pick each other's brains, and I definitely think hear another perspective.
Certainly.
It's always good to hear.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love like the whole community over competition as well. Like I'm all about collaborating and learning off one another and networking. Like when, there's enough business for everyone, we don't need
not working in a famine mentality.
Correct.
And especially when you're talking about like everyone's got a different target audience.
Yep.
So like
Claire knows.
Said it,
guys. So if you're targeting your audience correctly, you shouldn't be worried about like competing like
100%.
I think you're right. I think collaborating is the best way to work.
Yeah, I mean, it improves the whole industry, right? It lifts us all up by working together.
Tide raises all ships, yeah.
Yeah.
I love your
You've
little,
got all the quotes. I love it. This is great. I love this.
I just spend far too much time listening to people who love poetry.
Yeah, I love it. It's so
or
good.
who think they're gurus, maybe.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Just like chuck them all in.
Yeah, just
How
pour
many
them.
more have you got?
I don't have that many. I think I've used them all on this podcast, so it'll just be like moronic, ideas from now on. So.
Oh, I love it. Cool.
Oh, well.
Thanks so much, guys.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.